It's all right.
Recording. Check.
Okay.
Hey,
Perfect.
how's it going?
Man, I figured
It's
okay,
all
first of
right.
all, that is a cool microphone.
I'm recording.
Is it, like glowing?
Okay, perfect.
So
Well, I figured we would. Okay, first of all, that is a cool microphone. Is it like glowing?
flag.
Welcome to Make a Mixtape. We are back. Sorry for the delay. I've been up to some stuff. But today on the pod, we've got my friend of the pod, your friend and mine, Tony, in Ukraine. He actually made the music that we're listening to right now. And, you know, he and I have caught up on and off the air a few times as the war with Russia has continued. 3 years now. 3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. We get into it. And we get into some tunes, naturally.
The colors aren't represented well on the camera, but I made it so that it's the Ukrainian flag.
Oh, awesome.
So, all right, I know that we have some stuff that we gotta like catch up on here, but I thought we could kind of back into the space. And so let's just go straight into the first song here, which, a song that reminds you of your childhood. Which one of these do we want to get into here? Did you want to talk about Lou Bega, or was it more of a Fatboy Slim kind of day?
It's either one. Which one are you more excited to hear about?
Honestly, I'm very excited to hear about Lou Bega and how this somehow connects to your childhood. So let's talk about Mambo number 5, naturally. I would have been surprised if you'd picked a Lou Bega deep cut, if such a thing even exists.
I can pick Lou Bega deep cuts. I was a big fan. I own 2 albums by Lou Bega.
Wow.
One on cassette, where the Mambo number 5 record, which I listened to back and forth many, many times. And then I think a best hits collection, or maybe his second album. Either way, yeah, when I was a kid, I was a big Lou Bega fan. Every day I wake up and I'm wondering whether Lou Bega will drop Mambo number 6. But yeah.
We've been waiting a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I don't know. This song was popular on like whatever the Ukrainian version of MTV was at the time. And I was very into it as a kid. So when one day we were like going home and we were walking past one of those bootleg cassette tape stands that were very popular in Ukraine and Kiev at the time, I was like, hey mom, that's Lou Bega, I want it. And she got me the cassette tape, and I would listen to that song in particular a lot, and kind of the rest of them. And it sort of reminds me of a simpler time. There's like a whole swath of music from my childhood that I'm in denial about. I don't listen to Russian music anymore or anything. So if I take all of that away, Lou Bega is what kind of sticks out as something I would listen to all the time. And big shock to me was that Lou Bega is German. Had no idea.
Oh, me either.
Yeah. Lou Bega is German. He was like kind of doing the whole American mambo thing as something that he was experimenting with. Obviously, as a kid, like I had no idea what the lyrics were. Up until like quite recently, I was more of like a instrumental vibe focused person, and then my girlfriend ruined me, and then I started listening to lyrics more and paying attention to lyrics. So I had no idea what the song was about, other than Monica Jessica and this guy being an absolute player.
Jump up and down and move it all around. Shake your hands to the sound, put your hands on the ground. Take one step left and one step right. One to the front and one to the side.
Wicked. Yo, sit back, relax, catch your contact, sip your Pontiac, let's all watch this money through this laundromat, sneak attack, do cash and back, put a top dollar, in fact, touch mine, and I'll react like a rock baller. Who could relate? We play for high stakes at gunpoint, catch them and break, undress them time with tape, no escape. The Corleone, Fettuccine, Capone, roam in your own zone to get kidnapped and clap in your dome. We got it sewn. The firm are the wars unknown, lower your tone, face it. Homicide cases get blown, aristocrats.
Okay, let's talk about a song that you consider to be an all-time favorite. We're talking about LCD Sound System, Losing My Edge, a classic. But talk to me about your relationship to it.
So that song, I came across it because a different song from that album was in a skate video soundtrack, a Ukrainian skate video. And then I downloaded the album, as you do. So I would listen to that song on a loop over and over and over, just because I like the little drum machine pattern and the punk meets dance music, disco punk genre. And now I'm 32, kind of sort of the age when James Murphy made this song. And I'm like, oh, losing my edge. I get it. Because yes, I am. The kids are coming up from behind, and sort of this song, like what it's meant to me and what I was paying attention to, just transformed over the years. And there's always some new layer I'm uncovering. So I think that's why it's an all-time favorite.
Don't you feel though? Okay, I mean, I will not contest the feeling of losing one's edge as you enter your early 30s, but don't you think that in a lot of ways, our sort of generation, the wide millennial swath, is basically just going to dominate forever for a lot of reasons. One being the sort of cultural trend toward like worshiping our particular nostalgia, like a little bit of Gen X nostalgia. We've basically already moved on from that, right? Like we've already moved on from the Gen X nostalgia, and we're here, and we're just never going to leave. Because Gen Z just like does not have a functional culture that is not created from the like assembled scraps of our culture. Plus, millennials are like demonstrably more like tech and disinformation savvy than literally any other generation. Like baby boomers are actually second behind us, you know? And so it's like, and like Gen X and Gen Z are like coming up at the very back of this pack. So, in a very real way, I mean, I'll be happy to eat my words, but I don't think we're ever going to actually lose our edge. I think we're basically going to run the table for the rest of our lives.
I think culturally, probably yes, because like even if you listen to all the popular music that's coming out now, and like that Peggy Goo record that goes like na 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 na. That's basically Eurotrash resampling into like a new song. And so, yeah, Gen Z is very much discovering the Y2K aesthetic and thinking it's something new when it's not. So in that sense, I don't think we're ever going to lose our edge. I think the stuff that was produced in the heyday of our millennial life is kind of going to stick around for a very long time. The reason I think I'm losing my edge, and the reason I think it's relevant to our generation, is just because we're so... Can I swear here?
Yeah, sure, of course.
It's just because we're so fucking tired. I don't think we're going to have the energy to hold up the mantle of like, here's the good media stuff. Here's the good cultural cornerstones. Let me teach you, grandson, about this James Murphy guy. I think we're just not going to have the energy for it eventually, and it's just going to collapse.
That I can see that, because I think when it comes to sharing stuff with my children, right? I'm not in communicating with like other dads, I am not nearly as like pushy and proactive about stuff as they are. I remember there being a time in my life where I was like, oh, I can't wait till I get to like show my kids Star Wars, or I can't wait till I get to show them like Iron Man or something. And I do still think like that will be good, but at the same time, if like I found out that they watched Star Wars at a sleepover or something, I wouldn't be like, I know dudes who would be like devastated if that happened, and I'd be like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff, you know, that I get to kind of share with them, and I don't have a plan, or I don't have anything that I consider to be like essential. I'm interested in what they like from what I show them, and I don't feel the need to like push anything on them, like you have to like this or you have to recognize this is important. I'll take whatever, you know? I'll take whatever they pick up.
I got the earth and the blunt. I get the skirt when I want. I get the skirt when I want. Due to the money aroma. My girl, she got a diploma. She got white written all over. She got white written all over. All a nigga know is how to fuck a good thing up. Run from the pain, sip thing, smoke tree up. When I'm in your town, press pound, hit me up. When I'm in your town, press pound, hit me up. Only if you down and you slurp good be up. If the work good, I'll be back for the re-up. Hate when I creep in the phone, wake me up. Fake like I'm sleep, knowing damn well I be up. Monkey on my back and I walk 100
I've mentioned this, I think, during a previous conversation. I don't know if it ever made it to air on one of your podcasts, but like, I consider you to be like a cool parent, just like based on what you've talked about and based on what you share and like the fact that you make these little short movies. Yeah. I think in addition to that, it's cool that you don't push your own tastes onto your kids. But I think something that maybe they don't pick up on now, but maybe they eventually will be able to pick up on, is that like, even if they discover these things that are like cultural cornerstones on their own, because of who you are, you'll always be able to guide them like deeper into the rabbit hole of whatever they like. So like if they like Modest Mouse, I'm sure you can make them like a whole entire playlist of songs that are in a similar vein. And like maybe when they're teenagers, like give them a couple of records that are like, oh, you like Modest Mouse? Here's like 20 other thousand bands that you can listen to that have the same vibe. And like, oh, you watch Star Wars at a party? I bet you watched the thing that George Lucas fucked up where it's all CGI and it's all messed up. Here's the original. That's wild. So like, I think that's another cool thing.
I had a really wonderful parental experience recently, speaking of kids and their musical taste. Arlo was at a birthday party one afternoon, and so Isaac and I were just kicking around the house together. And he'd started this playlist on Spotify of his favorite songs, and I showed him the recommendation feature at the bottom. And I got to be there with him as he stood at the kitchen counter for a full half hour, very methodically playing the recommended songs, evaluating whether or not to add them to his playlist, and then refreshing the suggestions each time he got to the bottom. What I like about that feature on Spotify is that, you know, as you select songs from the recommendations move further in that direction you're providing it. So Isaac and I got to really tunnel into his tastes together. So here are a couple of key songs from Isaac's mixtape. Lampshades on Fire by Modest Mouse. As Tony actually alluded to, Isaac is very big on Modest Mouse, and I recently pointed out to him that the lead singer of the band is also named Isaac Brock, and I drew a comparison between my son's full name, Isaac Parker, named after Spider-Man, and Isaac Brock, I think coincidentally, sharing a last name with Eddie Brock, Venom. Without missing a beat, Isaac said, "Okay, so he's my enemy." Rent I Pay, Spoon. The lean, rhythmic stylings of Spoon really resonates with my kids. Isaac also pulled The Way We Get By and Do You, two more bangers from Britt Daniel and the boys. Colors by Group Love. I had never heard this one, but I really dig it. It gets at this very specific kind of MTV2 era pop hardcore sound. Like the Blood Brothers are another good example of this, and a band like Beep Beep is probably the outer edge. I think Isaac would also really dig another band in this vein called And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead, but their songs are a little long for him. And then Crooked Teeth by Death Cab for Cutie. I will admit, I kind of put my thumb on the scale for this one. He turned it off after the first 10 seconds, and I was like, wait. Because there's this very bouncy, syncopated thing to the song that appeals to me on what feels like a genetic level, and I wanted to test out my theory. Sure enough, you know, when those drums and bass kicked in, he nodded his approval and added it to the list. That's my boy. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening right now. And a song you're listening to a lot right now, Fortet, Hands. I listened to this for the first time this morning. Very cool. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I'm very much in IDM bag right now. Like I'm listening to all these textured songs because I'm like starting to make my own music, and it's sort of having a lot of textures in a song is important to me. It's very fun because it's very difficult to make a good pop song because there's this formula you have to follow. And because my taste is, it's like that Ira Glass quote, because my taste is so much higher than like my skill level, I find that making songs that are a little more ambient and a little more textured is easier, because even a mediocre song like that still sounds good because there's a lot of stuff to dig into and a lot of layers. And so I've been listening to a lot of Fortet because like his discography has a lot of different sounds and genres that he kind of like works in. And I like Hands in particular. It's usually the song, it's the song that's at the start of my playlist for when I want to go to bed. So I kind of listen to it at least once a day before I go to bed, because I can't fall asleep without something playing in the background. And I'm mostly sick of podcasts. But yeah, so I listen to Hands because there's a lot of different textures and layers and always something different to pick up on and listen to. And I really enjoy that about music these days. I'm listening to some pretty fucked up stuff right now, to be honest. Like noise music. I watched a video with Anthony Fantano and Mike Rignetta where they talk about like weird noise albums that's just the sound of like what sounds like a refrigerator motor on a loop forever. And I was like, I never understood that. And then I tried listening to it and it clicked, and I'm like, okay, this is the repetitiveness of like EDM on steroids, because it's one sound that's like 10 minutes long and I'm here vibing to it. It's a very weird experience for me, but yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this.
The last time that you and I talked, or the last time that you were like sort of on the podcast anyway, it was kind of like at the outset of hostilities between Russia and Ukraine. So what's been happening since? Like, where are you now? What's the day-to-day of that?
I'm at home in Kyiv. Like, I was in the mountains back then in the east of Ukraine, kind of as far as you can get from the front lines as possible. Now I'm home. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years. It's weird to talk about because on one hand, I am fine. Like, I live my life. I work my little IT job. I make my music and stuff. On the other hand, like every other weekend, there's like mass air raid sirens and rockets flying, and I hear explosions when I'm hiding in my shower, and sometimes I go to the basement, and that's just like a regular part of life for me right now. Like I don't bat an eyelid talking about it, but it sounds kind of wild when you like kind of explain it to other people, and it's just kind of like that in most aspects of my life. Like, I'm used to it, but it's still pretty fucked up that it's happening. Everyone in Ukraine hates Trump, possibly more than people in America hate Trump. And that's kind of the gist of it. I've never understood the British keep calm and carry on posters as much as I do now.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. And that's sort of the sense I've gotten from, seeing you on social and everything, is just like that it's that, right? It's like, what are you supposed to do when this crazy thing is happening, but basically continue to live?
And it's like everywhere. Like, there's a local coffee roastery in Kyiv, because I'm really into coffee, obviously. 30-something guy with a mustache. Of course I'm into coffee. So we go to this roastery to get coffee that's fresh and awesome. And it's like, a regular-ass hipster coffee roasting factory looking thing, but then on the outside they have this huge mural about Azov, which is the battalion that was in Mariupol at the start of the war in the south. Lots of like scandals around them. People assumed they were Nazi because that was a whole propaganda thing perpetuated by Russians, and they've been in what's it called, captivity. They've been prisoners of war basically since 2022. It's been like 3 years now. Nobody knows where they are. Nobody's seen them, and it's like a consistent push in the Ukrainian media / population to like figure out what they are, make them return home, get them back. And that coffee place just has a whole mural dedicated to that on the outside of their like big ghetto looking factory building. And it's kind of like that everywhere. So like everywhere you go, life continues as normal, but if you like take an extra glance, there's always something that reminds you that like this bullshit is happening, and Russia sucks, fuck Russia. The coffee place that's in my building downstairs, they have one of those like little calendars where it's like little wooden blocks that say today's date, and they basically haven't changed it from the 24th of February since the start of war, which is also like kind of symbolic. So it's like everywhere, it permeates every single aspect of life, but it's also like kind of in the background / the foreground at any given moment. So yeah, fine, but also not fine is how we are.
You're kind of the, unfortunately, like trendsetters for a lot of the modern world, that this is also the case in Palestine, and this is also the case, and increasingly in different ways, this is the case all over the world. And so, I don't think it diminishes. I think it creates, there's something beautiful about life going on, like, because this is the part we can control.
Yeah.
So, and it feels sort of upsetting and or like a little defeatist to say like we can't control these things, because maybe there is some way we can. And I like to think that we're all kind of keeping an eye out for that. But at the same time, it's like, there's something beautiful about continuing to live and continuing to, go down to the hipster coffee shop and everything. It's like, you have to. There's power in that.
Yeah. There's two ways to look at that, which is the optimistic way you just described, which, I'd love to be that person. But there's also like a more pessimistic and darker side where it's like humans can get used to anything, even the most terrible stuff on earth. And it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Like on one hand, life goes on, amazing. On the other hand, like everything is terrible and you're still alive and you have to keep going. Yay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been rewatching the greatest anti-fascist text of our modern era, the TV show Andor. And one of the things that it sort of pushes, right, is that freedom is a naturally occurring idea, and it's the easiest thing to occur spontaneously to people. And so the administration of fascism takes an increasing amount of work and effort, and that every little thing that you do that does not comply is a little bit more water flooding the dam.
Yeah.
And that eventually the dam breaks. And I do I optimistically, I do believe that's true. And so, so I do like seeing, every glass of water that we knock over, basically. It's like every single time I'm excited to see it.
It's like the Idols album, Joy is an Act of Resistance. I have a bit of that tattooed on me because joy is an act of resistance. Like if you maintain the ability to like make stuff or build a local community around a garage sale of t-shirts, it's like every little small thing kind of contributes to the overall trend of justice eventually going up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a song that lifts your mood then. We're in that good space for this. Mac DeMarco, Blue Boy.
Yes.
I feel like I really only know of Mac DeMarco from different songs you've talked about on this podcast.
Cool.
Mac DeMarco is like someone that I've kind of kept as like a reserve artist. Mm-hmm. I've never not gotten into the deep Mac DeMarco discography. I'm aware it's there, and it's there for me later. But talk to me about this song.
Well, it's Mac DeMarco, so it has those like jingly, chill guitar chords, which is always a mood lifter. But I also I really like the lyrics of the song because he talks about worrying. Like most of the song lyrics are about worry about this, worry about that, worry about your haircut, worry about the sun. And then the pre-chorus line is calm down, grow up, because nothing matters, but in a positive, optimistic way. And that just kind of always lifts my mood. And that kind of goes for all Mac DeMarco songs, but it's this one in particular because there's a line that goes, worry about your haircut, which is something I do all the time, even though I'm bald now. And that just hits so close to home that I'm like, okay, this song was made for me. And then that point is made further because at the end of the song he goes, "Hey Tony." That's like the last phrase he says, just randomly, "Hey Tony." It's like an echo, like maybe Tony walked into the room as he was recording it. But I'm like, okay, this song was made specifically for me to stop worrying and be in a better mood. So that's why this is the lift your mood song for the playlist.
So let's talk about a song that makes you feel productive. The Good, the Bad, and the Queen, history song. Is this a Damon Albarn project or not?
Yes, it is.
It sounds like him. It is. Okay.
It's him. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was, and I thought I remembered it from years ago, but then I was like just quickly scanning the Spotify page for like reference to him, and I couldn't figure it out. But okay. I'm glad I was able to identify him.
Yeah, it's
that
him.
dude never stops.
Never.
Cool.
He has so many side projects upon side projects. Yeah.
What an appropriate song for something that makes you feel productive, right? One of the most productive men in the world of music.
Yeah, I guess. Like, there's nothing inherently in it about it that makes it a good productivity song. I think just one time when I was in high school and I was writing an essay, pulling an all-nighter, as all chronic procrastinators do, and I put that song on, and I kind of managed to write like 3 paragraphs in one go. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute, let me try this again. So I put that song on repeat, finished my whole long essay in like half the time it would usually take me. And then ever since then, if I need to like kick my brain into gear, just sort of through association, I play this song and I kind of can get myself into work mode. I broke the magic spell of this song for a while, like about 5 years ago, because I would like abuse it to get into a productivity mood. So I haven't listened to it for like 5 years, and I've recently picked it back up again, and it works again now. But I use it sparingly. If I actually need some background music to work on, it's usually Brian Eno, the whole Music for Airports album. That just kind of, the ambient music just fills the space around me, and I can focus on what I'm doing. But that's usually something I put on once I'm already in the trenches of doing the work. But if I need to kick myself into gear, it's history song.
All right, let's talk about a song that makes you feel creative or inspired. This is Paradise Engineering by, Yacht is the band, Paradise Engineering is the song. Of course, they say Paradise Engineering like 5 times.
Many times.
This was a cool song. I'd never heard this before.
Yeah? Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I always love it when I can surprise you specifically with a song you haven't heard before.
There's a couple on this list. So.
It was going to be another LCD Sound System song, because whenever I listen to LCD Sound System, I'm like, hey, I want to make this in whatever form it is. Like if it's a video or like a song or even like writing, I want to make this. But like we already have an LCD Sound System song on here, so I had to pick something else. So I went from another band on the DFA record label. They have a very consistent sound, which I love about them. And the whole song is about like how the last bad events on Earth is going to be like something we can pinpoint and make all the misery stop. And is that not the most inspiring thought you've heard ever? It is. So yeah, that's my inspiring song. It has the DFA instrumental feel of like it's dance music, but it's also definitely like live instrumentation and like rock, and the lyrics are uplifting and amazing, and the song gets me in the mood to make something.
I like that idea, right? That mix of the sort of loops and live instrumentation thing. I think that's what makes like watching LCD Sound System perform to be like so much fun. They're so much fun. I remember that when the most recent time they performed on SNL, they did a couple of their like oldest songs, which are the most like droning and repetitive songs that they have, basically. And I was like, that's a real gamble doing that on Saturday Night Live, but the visual of watching this be performed, it really carries it through. Yeah.
I have a almost yearly tradition of watching their farewell show at Madison Square Garden. It's the movie / documentary about it is called Shut Up and Play the Hits. and I have the concert on like a big stack of vinyl. It was a birthday gift from my girlfriend, and I love that show. Like, you listen to their music and you expect it kind of out of the blue to be made on a computer, but then you watch the live show with like so many performing people, with like a whole choir of people singing in the background, with Arcade Fire showing up in the background to sing North American Scum, and it's like, it's definitely live music. And that's kind of cool, the combination of.
Yeah, it does the same thing for me that like bands like Wilco do too, or like especially like kind of earlier Wilco, where it's like you can hear studio experimentation in what you're listening to. It's like the idea that they were having fun with the process of creating it is part of what you hear. And that's part of why I think it's inspiring, makes you feel creative, is because like you think about the process in a way that this is also true about a lot of my favorite movies, right? Is that a lot of my favorite movies are in part about the process of making themselves. And so they do that. It does something to your brain because you're thinking about it too. Whether you're a person who's interested in filmmaking or not, you just start thinking about creativity.
If you like that vibe of like, here's how it was made, there's this YouTube series / show by the filmmaker Kaveh Zahedi. It's called The Show About the Show. And the premise of the show is that in the first episode, Kaveh talks about how he talked to producers and studios about making this show. And then in the second episode, it's a documentary about how he made the first episode. And then the third episode is about how he made the second episode. And it's like, it's like a spiral that goes deeper and deeper, like into itself. It's a very clever concept, and I think you might dig it.
I do. I think I really think I would like that. I was actually just recently, because I'm doing like a talk in June at this event, and I'm still not really sure what I'm going to talk about, but I've been exploring the possibility of kind of going from my sort of creative beginnings to what I'm doing now, and the sort of like weird roller coaster of that. And so I've been looking back at some kind of old stuff, and it's been making me laugh so much that like when I was 16 years old, the sketch comedy show that I was making in high school was basically like it was essentially like a backstage at a news show TV show. Like, that was the concept, was that we would do these desk pieces, and then the rest of the show was about the people like working at the TV station making the show. And I'm like, how, like, it's so funny that I, like, at 16 years old, that was already what I wanted to make, you know?
And then they made 30 Rock, which is, you know, you were 30 Rock before 30 Rock.
Yeah, like just before. And then, you know, and then it's amazing that it didn't. I feel like I guess I was watching 30. I always think of Arrested Development as being the show that I didn't get right away. Like, Morgan was watching Arrested Development and like obsessed with it, and I would come in and be like, what's going on with this? You know, and I just kind of like, I just wasn't giving it enough time to lock in. And it wasn't until it was like out on DVDs that I actually watched the whole thing. And then I was like, wow, he was really onto something here. And by the way, dear listener, if this kind of meta trip also appeals to you, I would suggest a pair of movies that I've recently seen, The Souvenir and The Souvenir Part 2. This is an autobiographical diptych from the director Joanna Hogg, who is probably not as well known as she should be, in part because she essentially discovered Tilda Swinton. These films, the Souvenir films, actually star Swinton's daughter, Honor Swinton Byrne, great name, as a young film student who winds up in a toxic relationship. The first film traces the arc of that relationship as she begins to find herself as an artist. It is a quiet, beautiful, frustrating film, animated by the dawning sense that what you're watching is a very detailed recreation of the director's real life. For instance, her real former apartment from that part in her life was recreated and built on a soundstage surrounded by huge prints of photos that she took out the windows there in the 1980s. And the autobiographical nature of it is refracted and complicated further when you think about stuff like how Honor Swinton Byrne plays Joanna Hogg's stand-in Julia, but her mother is played by the actor's actual mother, Tilda Swinton. And then they take it further. The Souvenir Part 2 released 2 years later, sees the entire cast of Part 1 return, and the story picks up almost immediately where it left off, as Julia decides to make her senior thesis film about the relationship that we just saw play out. The film that she wants to make will be titled The Souvenir. So Part 1 is a light fictionalization of the director's own life, and Part 2 is a fictionalization of that fictionalization. Overall, the project is really beautiful and thoughtful, and it has an ending that I'll be thinking about for a long time. Great pair of movies, The Souvenir, Souvenir Part 2, add them to your watch list. All right, so a song you associate with a good memory. Oh, The Lads, Oasis, Cigarettes and Alcohol. A classic Oasis jam.
Yep.
I'm going to guess that it's probably like 5th on their Spotify page, probably. Maybe lower.
I feel like...
What's your bet? Do you think it makes the top 5?
I'm pulling up the Oasis page right now.
I feel like it's just ever so slightly, like maybe 6 or 7.
Because it's like Wonderwall's probably 1, right?
For sure,
and then
definitely.
Don't Look, maybe... Champagne Supernova, maybe 2?
Champagne Supernova.
Don't Look Back in Anger. I would want Supersonic to be on there, but it's probably not.
I think it might.
Supersonic has outsized significance to me because Elliott Smith covered it. All right. Okay. Wonderwall's number 1. Don't Look Back in Anger is number 2. People love a F major to F minor shift. Stop Crying Your Heart Out is number 3, but that must be like a newer song.
Unexpected.
Because it's way lower in the number of plays. Stop Crying Your Heart Out. Champagne Supernova's 4. Live Forever 5. It's not even in the top. Didn't crack the top 10.
No way.
Not in the top 10.
It's such
it
a
goes all the way down
song.
to Supersonic is 7. She's Electric is 8. Yeah, wow, amazing. All right, well, anyway, this has been exploring Oasis's top 10 songs. But talk to me about Cigarettes and Alcohol and why you associate that with a good memory.
Well, one is because with, I think, the second band that I was a drummer in, we played that song. So that's just kind of nice. But mostly because, like, when I was a teenager listening to music, Cigarettes and Alcohol were kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a chicken and egg situation. Do I like cigarettes and alcohol because when I was a teenager, hanging out with friends was mostly about cigarettes and alcohol? Or did I start consuming cigarettes and alcohol because I heard this song? Like, you never know. But basically my whole teenage years, like from, I don't know, 14 on to like maybe until 18, until basically graduation, it was skateboarding, smoking cigarettes, sometimes having some form of alcohol, but not often. And this song just feels like the background music to that. It just kind of, I'm not even sure we actually listened to this song at any point while hanging out, but I listened to that song and I the very clear memory of like skateboarding in like a front area of the local school just kind of comes back. Just like hanging out with friends all day. Like you get out 11 in the morning, you skate all day. Maybe if you're lucky and you have some pocket money, you skate down to McDonald's to grab a couple of double cheeseburgers, and then you're out and you come home at 11 p.m. So you're out all day. And kind of this song makes me remember that. So good memories.
I was sort of more of a goody two-shoes type kid. I wasn't smoking or drinking, but I was essentially doing the exact same thing otherwise, of just like being out with friends, skateboarding. I mean, it's funny because I always say like, oh, I was like a good kid, but then I tell people about some of the things that I did and they're like, oh my God, like I was just telling someone a story about when I was a skateboarder kid, filming a fight between 2 of my friends who, like, it was going to be a big deal. They were going to fight, right? So I really got in there. Like, I was really the third person in the fight. It was a brutal fight. There was like a lot of blood and it was bad. And then we showed the video of that fight like at school.
Oh, I bet that went down well.
I don't think anybody ever found out. I think we hijacked a science teacher's classroom during a break and just kind of herded everyone into the room and showed a bunch of people the tape of this fight.
And we may have even
$1
had
at the door. Was this a pay-per-view thing?
I really wish we had done that. No, it never occurred to me to monetize anything in those days. But as I recall, I think we had a second tape that was like skateboarding stuff that we could, if someone came by, we would just swap out and just be like, oh, we're just watching this skateboard tape that we made.
We also had that going around. Like it's you're a skate person. There's always somebody with a video camera around. You can't do anything. You can barely ollie, but like there's definitely someone out there filming just because that's what you do. With like a repurposed Home Depot eye hole for a door used as a fisheye.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No, I was always trying to figure out how to get my hands on a fisheye lens.
Oh, we went to the local equivalent of a Home Depot, got like a eye hole from a door. It cropped 80% of the image. You had like a 2-inch part of it that was video, and then the rest of your screen was just black. But hey, it's a fisheye. You're basically Tony Hawk.
You can wait for a lifetime to spend your days in the sunshine. You might as well do the white lie, 'cause when it comes on top, you gotta make it happen. You gotta make it happen.
You tweeted once that like there's if there's one song that influenced like your editing style in skate videos or whatever, it was something by Arcade Fire. And I'm still so curious what that means. Like I know it's probably impossible, but I would love to see like a before you heard Arcade Fire and edited skate videos, and after you heard Arcade Fire and edited skate videos, and just see the visual representation of like that switch in style.
I think I know, because at that point I would have had more of I would have been able to do more like, digital editing basically. And Arcade Fire, I think, really made me more aware of there's different points of syncopation in a song, right? So there's kind of like the 4 on the floor bass, and then maybe there's like these guitar parts that are coming in and out. And I learned that I could edit to all of those rhythms, or I could pick and choose, and that there was sort of power in like editing to a rhythm and then stopping in a way that didn't necessarily match 1-to-1, but mimicked the same thing that Arcade Fire songs would do, where it was like that. And then also Arcade Fire songs often would have this tonal switch, like Wake Up suddenly kicks in a high gear at the end. And in the same way, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I will do with my, this is how my like video editing will work now, where it'll have this one rhythm and then it'll have like this second mood and mode that is built from, but different than the first part.
I totally get that. Okay, I can cross this off my bucket list. It all makes sense now. Thanks for explaining it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know which song I was thinking about, but it would have been something from Funeral, because that was like what I would have been editing to. And that was just it was definitely a huge influence on me in terms of like how tone and mood works. And I would also say Kanye West was very similarly influential in the same way, where it didn't, not so much the shifts, but the control of tone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. That's always been important to me. All right. So
what's a song that you associate with a bad memory? Kid Cudi, Heart of a Lion. Speaking of Kanye West, I'm sure Kid Cudi has some songs he associates with bad memories now.
For sure. So yeah, a good memory and bad memory, they were both supposed to be Kid Cudi songs. For good memory, it was supposed to be Pursuit of Happiness. Specifically the Steve Aoki remix, because that song just, it gets me hyped. But again, didn't want to use the same artist twice. But bad memory is definitely Kid Cudi, Heart of a Lion. I just remember it was the year I was graduating high school, so there were all these like final exams and thesis essays that I had to write, and it was just like too much. And I remember like being up at like 4 a.m. pulling one of my many all-nighters when History Song wasn't doing the trick, and just being completely overwhelmed. And then that song comes up, and I don't know why, but like from now on, whenever I'm overwhelmed, even if that song, like I don't really listen to Kid Cudi anymore, but like that song always just like plays in my head whenever I feel overwhelmed. So yeah, Kid Cudi, Heart of a Lion always makes me feel like, oh, this is that moment I was like extremely overwhelmed as a kid. And there's probably some trauma in there that I should work through. But nah.
Yeah, I hear that. All right, well then let's talk about a song that makes you think of a loved one. Our Boys and the Arctic Monkeys, Do I Want to Know? Great song. Talk to me about what it reminds you of.
I met my current girlfriend at the time when that song came out, so like ages ago. And that song kind of came out. We were both fans of like British rock bands, and we were very excited because Arctic Monkeys were like peak popularity then. And then the song comes out, and it's an awesome song, and we were like starting dating, so it like kind of brings up all those memories. And then the full album comes out, and we were listening to it together. I gave it as a gift on vinyl to my girlfriend for New Year's after we moved in. And so like, you know, that song just kind of always I associate it with my girlfriend. And that's kind of it. That's the story. It's just a song that came out at the right time with the right vibe. And that's
cool.
Yeah, and Arctic Monkeys, I like Arctic Monkeys a lot. I feel like they are one of those bands that in the United States, you can sense that they're more famous outside of the United States than they are here.
Definitely.
Like, you know, I Think That You Look Good on the Dance Floor had a huge moment my senior year of high school. That was a big song for me then, but it felt like that's actually where Arctic Monkeys peaked in the United States, with Do I Want to Know as kind of like a little second pop. Very similar to like Franz Ferdinand, where it was like they had a world-destroying hit and then like a slightly more modest hit right afterwards. And then you got the sense that they just continued on, but like we were just not culturally privy to it in a way that we probably should have been.
Yeah, I think that's a trend with the United States and British bands in particular, where there's a breakthrough hit and then they kind of fall into obscurity. Meanwhile, they're still huge all over Europe and like people love them.
It's because everyone's still mad at Bob Dylan. That's why. It's because Bob Dylan was writing these earnest folk protest songs, and then he started to get like into electric guitars and wordplay. And everybody resented him for it. And so as a result, in the United States, we've always had a problem with witty lyrics ever since. All right, gang, that is our show. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Ukraine. If you are local to the area, I am going to be giving a talk at Creative Mornings Portsmouth on June 20th. The theme is punk. I'm going to reflect on my career as a self-taught videographer. And I'm going to explain how working at a bank actually is pretty punk rock. It's a free event, but registration tends to fill up pretty fast. So you can check out the Creative Mornings website, make a profile there, and the Monday before the talk, the tickets will be released. That's Friday morning, June 20th. Naturally, the audio from this talk will be featured on the podcast, but maybe I'll see you there. Otherwise, we'll talk soon.